Does this thing work?
People are strange when you're a stranger. Faces look ugly when you're...
I finally got me some exposed brick. You hear me? I got some exposed brick. I got my own studio. I got my own studio apartment. Me and my pink bat. Pulling a Jalen Rose on this one. Shout out to Jalen Rose for those who know. Champagne and campaign. I've been watching a lot of, I've been listening to a lot of podcasts since, many years ago. I take a lot of information from them, but I also say, or I should say, I take a lot of information from them, and I also say, I can do that. If they can do that, I can do that. And just offer my unique, fresh perspective, flavor on life. And I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to talk to you like I know you. I'm going to talk to you like I know you. I feel like that's always best when you talk to somebody like you know them. Whether you just met them or not, there's something powerful to talking to somebody like you know them. Because one thing they for sure have is a brain. One thing they for sure have is a brain. And they for sure have is a beating heart. And when you talk to people from the heart, it transcends every single label and distinction and you name it. Our first language, get this, take it or leave it, take it or leave it. All our first languages is the language of love. And that's what I want to talk about. So call this a faith-based podcast. And by faith, I don't really mean religion. Okay, so by faith, I don't mean, because I'm somebody of great faith. I grew up French Catholic. I went to Catholic school, and a lot of people in Catholic school, I feel like when it's kind of forced upon you, and I do mean that word forced, kind of knocks the faith right out of you, right? So for me, Catholic school turned into studying science courses. I felt like, I turned into, if I had any religion, it was the religion of science.
People talk glibly about science. What is science? If you look at the breakthroughs in science, almost always they don't come from the center of that profession. They come from the fringe. People see it differently. The finest candle makers in the world couldn't even think of electric lights.
So faith-based podcast. I've been watching a lot of faith-based stuff on YouTube, and very successful. Very successful in spreading the good, capital G, good, and news, capital N, news. The good news. That's great. That's great. And in my opinion, take it or leave it, there's something even more inclusive that we can talk about beyond religion. So in this podcast, no mention of sin, no mention of sin. I'm a kid who went to school, grade school, and walked into the house and would turn on. I wouldn't do homework. I wouldn't do homework after school. Are you kidding me? I'd walk in. I'd sit on the couch, watch TV, and I was a kid. Take it or leave it. I watched the Oprah Winfrey show every once in a while. Something resonated. Me and Oprah. She's done a lot of good in the world. Take it or leave it. I'm not here to judge Oprah. She's done a lot of good for the world, and she's got one of the guests on telling Oprah, and I'm 10 years old, him telling her, we are Oprah. We are spiritual beings living the human experience. And I see a lot of people saying, but we're only human. But we're only human. We are social animals. I firmly believe that we have been conditioned to believe that we are only mortal human beings. And to me, this is just to me, what's the fun in that? What's the fun in that? I want to believe like I believed when I was 4 years old. I want to believe like I believed when I was a kid. That limitless imagination. Why not? Why can't we go back to that? Why can't we? Try it on. Just try it on. Why can't we go back to that? Sing, dance, tell people how you feel. Why not go back to following our heart? That's what I'm choosing. That's just the choice that I'm making, is to go back to the lowest common denominator. The lowest common denominator, which you can also see as the highest common denominator, which is the fact that there is a 6-year-old in all of us that just wants to have fun, that got hurt by a certain somebody special to them, and that is still within them, asking for love. Love in the form of attention, love in the form of knowledge, love in the form of being together with you, right? So I welcome you not believing in God. I welcome you believing in a God that you call, the universe, or Jesus, or Buddha, or Lord Krishna, or my Lord and Savior, or Wawa, or energy. I had a guy I worked for a guy a couple years ago. Really, he didn't believe in God. He didn't believe in God. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you believe in God or not. This guy firmly believed in himself. He's an entrepreneur. He took his life into his own hands and worked 16-hour days for 3 years to get this business off the ground. And he believed in himself, which is, if you ask me, the same thing as believing in God. He would tell me, Eric, I believe in energy, which is perfect. It's the same thing, It's like Star Wars, like the Force. He believed in the Force. He believed in energy. May the Force be with you. Very spiritual message right there in Star Wars. He may not have believed in God, but he lived to the standards of God, to the standards of the universe, to the standards of what Jesus came here to, treat others. Treat others. We all know the golden rule. So that's number one, is no mention of sin. Sin actually means, Eckhart Tolle would say, he's the guy on Oprah, he would say, to sin means to miss the mark. And of course, we all miss the mark. That's a great way to put it. However, we all will miss the mark if we're not grounded, if we're not, acting from our heart. Of course, we can miss the mark. If we're under the influence of alcohol or whatever it may be, we can do things that miss the mark. But doesn't it feel better saying that we missed the mark? Yeah, we missed the mark. I missed the mark on that one. Than to say I have sinned, or that I was born in sin. So number two, no original sin. Not in this podcast. No way, Jose. No way, Jose. Jesus did not come to form a religion, in my opinion. And so I don't think he talks about original sin. Please, you can comment down below if he talks about us having original sin. I actually believe that Jesus would say that we were born with original purity. Original purity. Why not believe that we are fractals? We are fractals of that same consciousness, and that when we take away the layers on top of our hearts, that what Jesus has said is true. We can do miracles just like him, if not greater, right? So no original sin, which means all guilt and shame. All guilt and shame. I'm going to do a magic trick here. 555 on the timer. I got my pink bat. All guilt and shame. Gone. Gonzo. Guilt and shame. Out the window. Number three, saints and sinners are the same. Therefore, if there's no original sin, then saints and sinners are the same. I've been a sinner one day and a saint the next. And so have you, by the way. If you're watching this content, highly concentrated content, you've probably saved a life. You've probably saved somebody's life. I'm not even kidding. And you might not even know it. But if you've come to this point, this is not a coincidence. If you're still tuning in to this content, not a coincidence. So saints and sinners are the same, which means, how can we judge anybody? You can steal this, by the way. I'm not here to judge. I'm not here to judge. So I love that. I just love that expression of just reminding yourself and reminding people, and when it comes from the heart, that I am not here to judge. It's powerful. Love you guys.